What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button because that is the most important thing you can do with me on this channel. What it does is that it helps make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get the notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends to inform them on this news and information. And yes, that does also help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm also. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we are headed to my favorite news studio, MSNBC Studios, because recently Jim Clyburn was on MSNBC and they were having a conversation about the polling numbers that reflect that apparently Black Americans are not enthusiastic about voting for Joe Biden, and many of them are considering voting for Donald Trump. And what I want you to do is pay attention and listen to how dismissive Jim Clyburn is on these polling results. He completely dismisses them outright. And it's very funny and interesting to see him do this because when it comes to polling, when it comes to data and statistics, everyone loves polling numbers, stats, and data when the numbers are in their favor. But once the numbers fall outside of your favor, now all of a sudden stats, data, and polling mean absolutely nothing anymore. And that's what we're going to see here from Jim Clyburn. Not only are we going to see that here, but this video is actually even going to start off with disrespect towards the Black American voter, because what Jim Clyburn is going to start off this video answering is that he's going to be asked, what does Joe Biden need to do differently to bring in the Black vote in light of the polling numbers? And Jim Clyburn is literally going to respond, Joe Biden has to do absolutely nothing. Everything is fine. Everything is okay. Joe Biden just needs to keep doing exactly what he's doing, and the Blacks will show up regardless. Let's take a listen to this here.
I don't think he needs to do anything but what he's doing. I think Joe Biden is doing exactly what he needs to do to win re-election.
If that's not a slap in the face to Black Democrats, I don't know what is. Whenever the opportunity occurs on MSNBC, CNN, and all these other left DNC news channels, whenever the opportunity occurs for these folks to actually woo Black Americans back into the DNC fold, they never take the time to do that. They either resort to fear mongering or they just dismiss you outright. And that's what we're seeing here. What does Joe Biden need to do to bring back in the Black vote? Joe Biden doesn't need to do anything. The Blacks are going to vote for him anyways.
I think the polling is taking place. Something is amiss with the polling. I call your attention to the recent polls over in Maryland. The African-American woman running for the United States Senate nomination. The Sunday before the election, one poll had her 5 down, the other poll had her 7 down, and she won by 13. How do you explain that? That's 20 points.
I can explain it like this. The same way you can cherry pick when polling's got it wrong, I can cherry pick when the polling's got it right. But how do you explain the polling that's going on today concerning Black Americans not being enthusiastic about voting for Joe Biden, and many of whom are considering voting for Donald Trump? How do you explain that? And you will never hear him explain it. He's just going to continue to dismiss it.
So I have no idea what's going on with polling these days, but I do know this. The polls did not have Ossoff nor Warnock win in Georgia, and both of them won.
Warnock barely won by the skin of his teeth going up against a man who could barely form a sentence.
Polls did not have Macbeth getting 80-something% in that district, but she did. Anybody who believes that Donald Trump will get 30% of the Black male vote or 12% of the Black female vote, I got a bridge down there on Johns Island, I'll sell you.
Translation. Sure, the blacks, they may seem and be a little disgruntled now, but like good, well-trained dogs, they'll come back home to their owner. Don't worry about it. They'll come back home to their owner like they always do.
I just saw Mr. Editor Tomasky's piece. And let me tell you something. I have been saying for weeks, even months now, to my friends that Joe Biden has a quiet constituency that nobody is looking at, nobody is listening to, but it's showing up in these polls.
So now we're operating on a whole nother level of delusion, a state of delusion that comes out of disrespect towards the Black American voter, particularly those who vote Democrat. He is such in a state of delusion and is so easily dismissing the polling numbers that he's now even saying there is a quiet majority that is not being reflected in the polling that's going to come out for Joe Biden. Once again, that continues to translate to me, you're just disgruntled children. You're disgruntled children who are mad right now, but you're going to come back home to your daddy this November, just like you always do.
So I don't know what the people are saying to the posters, but I know what they say to me when I walk through airports. I just came in from San Diego, and I spent a lot of time in the Charlotte airport. In the last several days, and people are coming up to me very quietly saying, keep doing what you're doing. Things are going to be fine come November. I tell you, there's a quiet constituency that Joe Biden has, and it will show up big time come November.
So apparently there's a quiet majority that is showing up and approaching Jim Clyburn in the airport, whispering quietly in his ear, "Don't worry, Jim, the black vote is going to show up this November. You all just keep doing what you're doing," which is absolutely nothing, especially as it pertains to the Black American vote. Keep doing what you're doing, which is nothing, but we're going to show up for you anyways. Now, the reality is this. He's just speaking about his fans. He's talking about his fans that are walking up to him and saying, keep doing what you're doing. You guys are doing an excellent job. That's not a reflection of the polling, and that's not a reflection of the general black population, many of whom are considering voting for Donald Trump. But regardless of all of that, the point of today's video was to highlight his dismissiveness. This goes to show how much the DNC could care less about the Black American vote as it pertains to getting it to do something that would actually help you once they get into office. They only need the vote so that they can get into office and do what it is that they want to do as far as moving policy forward, keeping the border open, flooding your communities, moving them in your neighborhoods, and prioritizing them over you, as we've watched Brandon Johnson prioritize illegal immigrants in Chicago over the Black American citizen population, as he is moving Biden's migrants, so-called migrants, into their neighborhoods, providing them with housing in their neighborhoods, these black neighborhoods, literally by the thousands, while the homeless population in those same black neighborhoods remain homeless and unhoused. This is the only thing that the black vote is good for. Get us into office so that we can prioritize illegal immigrants over you. And that is what Jim Clyburn is reflecting here on this MSNBC interview. He completely dismissed the pollings altogether because he knows you're going to show up anyways, like you always do. But hopefully this November, we prove him wrong. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video out on your social media platforms. And also don't forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below and will be pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. And until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.